So on today's video episode, we're talking about VSH queens, which stands for Varroa Sensitive Hygiene. We have been running a treatment-free operation for 3 years. Not one chemical has seen a hive. And we started off just ultimately going through a selection process. And initially our losses were quite high. And if it wasn't a beekeeper mistake after that, the results were starting to look pretty good. However, this year we had, mainly my fault, had about half of our hives died. I had another job come up that I wasn't able to get to my honey supers, and so some of the hives went through the winter with supers on, which is bad because all the heat goes up and the queen can't get above that queen excluder. So we bought a bunch of queens this year and they were just horrible. I'm not going to mention the name, but they're one of the more national popular queen suppliers in the United States. And this year we kind of went all in VSH, and so we just spent a bunch of money on queens from VP Queens. Well, we didn't buy them from VP Queens, but they were grafted off of VP Queens, which has a contract with the USDA for that pole line, if you've ever heard of it, which is the government's successful attempt, I should say, at providing VSH queens. And they've also been doing VSH themselves. I think started from Glen Apiaries, which is kind of the pinnacle of mite-resistant queens in the United States. And so we just installed a bunch of them. I wasn't gonna make a video, and then I thought, I should probably make a video on how I do this and what they are. And so with the last queen, I filmed it, and so that'll follow this. But last year we started grafting for our own sake, or for ourselves. This year we are grafting and selling virgin queens and eventually some mated queens. So if you need queens, you don't like, even if you treat your hives, you cannot go wrong with VSH, because they are keeping mite reproduction down to a level that's almost zero. And with no mites, there's no need to treat. But if you are treating, kind of get a double whammy. And so I'm not going to harp on anyone that treats, because I think that everyone needs to do their own thing. But it's pretty obvious that to move this industry forward, we're going to need something different than what we're doing. I mean, 40, 50, I think this year's numbers are coming out to look like 60% nationally were lost. That's not good. And so with chemicals, what's happening is we're strengthening the mite and weakening the bee genes because they become dependent on our chemical treatments. So hopefully you find this video informative. And if you are looking for another source for queens, we now sell them on our website. I'll have the link somewhere up here. But hope you enjoy it. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Thanks and enjoy. So today we are installing our new genetics into our apiary. This is really the apiary that started everything for me. This is at my house, and these hives represent kind of our next generation of queens. We've got some in a few hives that are over here, and we're going to be grafting off of these, as well as the one that we identified this year as kind of our best one prior to entering these genetics. But what they are is VSH, which stands for Varroa Sensitive Hygiene, and they came from VP Queens, which has I think there's only 3 contracts with the USDA for that pole line, which is their new VSH queens. And ultimately, VSH is a quality that the queens or that the hive has. The queens pass them on, obviously, to the workers, but they can detect mite-infested cells. They open them up and either remove the pupa or the little baby bee in there, or they'll open it up, clean the cell, and close it back up if everything seems to check out. And what's important about that is we run a treatment-free operation. Bee trying to get me. They like this queen. And because we're treatment-free, VSH is absolutely critical. If you don't have VSH in your treatment-free, your bees are just gonna keep dying and dying and dying. And this year, we actually had some really bad luck with some queens that we originally ordered, and they're failing almost immediately. And so I just think this year was really kind of a bad year for queens, and it sounds like some other beekeeping businesses are seeing some of the same results. And so we kind of stepped it up this year. We bought quite a few of them, I think we ended up with 22, but we bought 20 of them. And they come from VPBs, as I mentioned. We've got 3 different strains, one being Italian Carnelian, and then this pole line 2.2. And we've got a couple Carnelians, which they've nicknamed, I believe, Spartan, and then some pole lines. And I think this is our last one to install. I wasn't gonna film it, but I was like, well, I probably should catch this. I can't quite tell her, but she's marked. But we're gonna start a new colony with her. So we're gonna shake some bees off from a couple of the strong hives. We're gonna remove these. This is a dead out. This is one of them that failed, actually. We just have this honey super stacked on here just for storage right now, but we're gonna get these honey supers off, clean out the bottom box, get some new bees in there, some nurse bees, which is important, and then install her into this hive. And then we'll use later in the year this hive as one of them that we'll graft off of if she passes all of our tests. And to do our tests, what we do is open up 100 cells, and we literally do mite counts for reproductive mites, and we want to see next to nothing for reproductive mites when we do that test. And if that's the case, then we use that queen to graft off of, and we'll sell those virgin queens on our website. We'll provide the link, but you can buy them now. They're all pre-ordered. We've got some bacon right now. They should be available. I think it's either the week of the 20th of June or the following. But we'll dive into this. We'll show you I'll show you how this process works. All right, so I've cleaned this hive out. We're gonna start with this. Those are all the dead bees. Actually, I was incorrect. We did not have any bees in this one. This was still a dead out from last year, or from this winter. It's one of our insulated hives. But what I'm gonna do is, the hive right there is probably the strongest one in the yard right now, in here. And we normally run 1 brood box, but this year I've been kind of experimenting with 2 just because we're having such horrible problems with the bees. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple frames out of there, from there, or probably take 3 or 4 frames with brood. This one has still some honey and pollen on it. I'm sure some of it's fermented, but most of it actually looks pretty capped. But I'll take probably 3 or 4 frames of brood in there, transfer them into here. I'm gonna take the queen from that hive with them and put them in here. And I'm gonna try to keep as young well, right now it's the middle of the day, so most of the foragers are out, which is a good time to do this, because if I put mostly foragers in here, what ended up happening is they'd leave this hive and go just right back to that one. I'd be stuck with a hive with a low population. So they're kind of doing me a favor right now, and it's a beautiful day. But I'll get started with that, and then once I've transferred the 3 to 4 frames from there over to here, I'll replace 3 to 4 frames with decent drawn out comb from this hive into that hive. And then I will put this new wonderful, Beto not happy with me. I'll put this new queen in there. So can see her or not. Kind of hard to see her in there. Do a couple puffs. I'm gonna put my gloves on because I'm gonna work kind of fast. So what I need to do is, oh boy, I might need to get another super on this one. Should we see where they're at? Doesn't look too impressive. Sure felt heavy. All right. So smoke these girls down, and a couple guys, I'm sure. Okay, so now we're going to try to find our queen. If I find her, I'm going to bring her right over to that other box. There's no eggs or larvae on that one, so I'm going to take that one out. I like to operate with one out, and then I'll kind of slide them across. That way if I miss the queen, she can't jump back over. Or if I've inspected one and set it in, she can't jump onto that frame. I found that works pretty good. Oh, this one's full of honey. So this is the part where we speed up the film. So there she is. She's right, use my pointer here, right there. Nice looking Italian. All right, so I'm gonna put her in. So I have put her right in there. So I'm gonna take some more brood out of there, put it in here, and then we'll be able to introduce new queen into this hive. So what I'm looking for is a frame that's got quite a bit of brood on it. I might have to go down a box to do that. Yeah, this one looks pretty good. So you can see there's some emerging, which is what we want. And some young bees. You can tell which one the young ones are because they're hairy. Kind of blonde looking as well. So I'm going to put this one in here. As well as this one. You know, and I'm gonna put this one in there too. This one's got some of their honey on it and some bees. Let me bring him around here. I'll show you what I'm doing here. So these 4 are from that other hive with all of her bees. So there's going to be no problems introducing her, obviously, to this new hive. And then I want to give her some. So this got there's some dead bees still on that one. This got some honey and some open cells. So give her some of that. Try to keep that on the outside. Here's mostly open with some dead bees. It looks like there's some nectar in there that's crystallizing, which is all right. So here's one that she can lay in. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need one more. So this is the old colony. I'll let them go on morgue duty and clean that out. I like to pull them together, bunch them in towards the center. And there you have it. So now we'll get the queen excluder on here. Scrape some of this wax off. No, it's already in there. I'm going to throw one super on here. Inner cover, insulated outer cover. There. Now she has been successfully moved over to this new hive. And so what I'll do now is I'm going to go back over here to this hive, and I'll get the frames in there, and then I'll reintroduce the new queen. So I'm going to try to be strategic about this. I am going to put her on one that already has a little bit of brood. So in this case, I think this is more of a marshmallow. I didn't make this up, but it's a little softer than normal. But one of the tips is to put a put a hole in the candy. I don't push it all the way through. I get it 3/4 of the way through. What that does is it helps them eat through it a little bit faster, which if you want a slow release, obviously you wouldn't do that. But in this case, I think we'll be fine with it. So, get her set on the side here. This is the frame I'm gonna put them in, so shake these bees off. There's a little bit of brood still on here, and nothing on this side. And I've got no eggs that I can see. But I'm gonna push her right into this frame. So one thing to look out for is you want to make sure there's no nectar or honey, because you don't want to drown her. She does have an attendant in there. So this kind of area right here has nothing in it. This area right here. And so I'm going to just gently push this in to this frame. You want it to stick. Then you want there still to be access right here for the other bees to eat through it. So she's in there. You can see her marked yellow for the year. Will you raise good bees is the good way to remember that. And so what I'll do is she's going to go in here right in the center. I'm going to take the frame that the other queen was working on. This one right here, full of bees, pollen, honey, nectar, some brood. And I am going to put that right up against the new queen. And then we're going to put these new frame, or these existing frames in here. From that other hive from the dead out. Squeeze these together. Get my queen excluder on. So this was, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I've been working on another business called Hive, which is a smart insulated beehive, and this was one of our first prototypes, just from an insulation standpoint. And so it's all gasketed. So there's a gasket on every single level, and it's a gasket on the queen excluder. It's insulated. It's insulated to meet kind of the qualities of a oak tree, which is what a colony actually prefers in wild to nest in. I don't know if it's necessarily oak tree, but it tends to be. And yeah, if you want to check that out, it's Hive. That's Hive is spelled H-Y-V-E. I'll provide the link. And then we also have a channel too with a podcast that I host. So check that out if you haven't already. But an insulated hive, the bees really take off in it. And they spend less time heating and cooling the hive. But I won't make this an advertisement for Hive. But I encourage you to check it out. But that's what this is. It's gasketed to seal it up. They go through a little less propolis. Just because it's already sealed. I mean, that's why they propolize everything, is to seal it up and to provide some antibacterial. Which, if you didn't know, honey has hydrogen peroxide in it. Kind of high levels, or can have high levels. So I'm going to put the inner cover on, and in this case, gasketed. And there's no notch in this inner cover. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll bring you over here. There's the gasket. And those little holes there, that actually is what ventilates it. So you can see the bees fill it up with propolis, and I end up, oops, there you go. And I end up banging it off so you get a little airflow. The bees really don't like airflow, but we do as beekeepers because it helps dry out the honey, or the nectar, to make honey. So my final step in installing these is I've been marking all my hives with permanent marker on which ones are VSH, and the date I installed them, and which brew box. That way, I mean, I have a digital one, but it's nice to not have to pull your phone out every single time. Also, you keep track of which ones are due, or which ones are what. Like I said, these are those VP queens right off of the breeder stock. So super high quality queens. They are available, will be available on our website for order. We ship all throughout the United States and Canada, so check it out. I'll put the link somewhere on here. But as always, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. It'll notify you when we've got new videos. It's not very annoying. At least I don't find it very annoying, and it helps me remember kind of which people I follow. I follow like 30-40 people on YouTube, and without that bell, I'd miss a lot of their videos. So do that if you haven't, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.